Alright, guys, look, in the past week, there has been an increase in the price of fuel from around 700 to as high as, I'll keep the average at 1,000, okay? Depending on where you live in Nigeria, the prices vary. Uber sent out a notice to say that due to the increase of the price in fuel, we're going to have a 13% fare increment. I'm going to tell you this. The percentage of increase from 700 to somewhere around 1,000 or so, I think percentage-wise, it should be somewhere around 20-something%. And Uber is saying we are increasing by 13%. If you look at the numbers, just the numbers alone, it feels like it's not reflective, right? It's not even equal. Talk more to say, I want to say compatible, but I feel like that's the wrong word. But what I'm trying to say is this. Even at that, the business is still profitable. I need you to understand something, because I think one of the major questions that a lot of people who are maybe into the business, maybe trying to get in, they tend to ask a lot is it still worth it, right? Being in the business or joining the business for those who are yet to join. One thing you need to understand is this. It doesn't matter how much the situation of an economy changes. The ride-sharing apps or companies, they are built to survive. Okay? It doesn't matter if fuel jumps to 15,000 per liter, the ride-sharing company would somehow survive. The initial increase in fuel price that we saw was from a very huge jump of over 200, maybe 250%, from around 196 to 600 and something, right? And at this point, I'm sure a lot of people then were crying, is it still worth it? I think ride sharing is gone. I think this is the end. I think. And all the wailing, and after everything normalized, right? The same customers were still booking. The same drivers who wailed and lamented are still driving. There is always going to be a survival factor here. And more importantly, there is always a profitability to it. I'll tell you this, if there's one app that I feel like has not adjusted yet, it has to be InDrive. But as for Bolt, as for Uber, I cannot say really for Rider, but I know for certain InDrive has not yet adjusted. And I think they're playing a game here. It's not like they don't see what's happening. They're hoping to collect the market share. They're hoping to steal customers right now that everybody seems to be concerned for price, right? They want a bargain. They want to go to where they need to go at the lowest, at the least amount, for the least amount of money. And so, I think on Sunday, I was at work, just this past week, Sunday. I was at work, and then on InDrive, I was seeing some ridiculous trips to certain destinations or distances for certain prices, which if fuel was still selling at around 700, this would make sense. This was okay. But right now, you have to factor in the new cost. But it doesn't seem like InDrive on its own has done anything by way of leveraging the situation or equating the situation to current plight. Yeah? And you actually see that drivers are picking up this request. I'm looking at it and I'm like, who would go for this? Is the person thinking? Or maybe there's a way that they have somehow gotten fuel for a much cheaper rate. Now, this is the twist to it. Even for that price, it's still profitable, but a very, very little amount. Okay, and I think this is why InDrive is yet to increase it. They want customers to come, or consumers or riders to come to their app hoping to get the cheapest of fares, and then they flip it later on. So that's just the game they're playing, but I hope they adjust this soon, because it's really mad crazy, man. Look, on Sunday I said I was going to give my own view or my own encounter experience of how on Sunday went, because the price changing, the fare increment of 13% for Uber, I'm speaking specifically for Uber right now because I don't really use both, so I cannot speak to them very specifically, but most of the time the practice with Uber is almost the same with both. So Uber made an increase on Friday. I went to work on a Sunday. Granted, it was a slow day. It wasn't that sort of day where you had options, so you could reject as many trips and pick whatever you want and be very, very choosy and picky about where you go and who you pick and all that. Not really that kind of a day, but it's supposed to be, because we are no longer in the dry seasons. These are the busy times, okay? But it wasn't. However, I was still able to make a decent profit. There's a point I'm trying to make. There was an increase on the fuel price. There is also a concurrent increase in the fare price. So where you would have gone for, say, 3,500, Uber is saying no, the person would have to pay 5,000 now. For instance, I'm not very certain as to the rate yet. I'm still calculating. I don't think I took any ride that paid me 1,000 something, unless the person was on a promo. I think they've lifted their minimal fare from 1,700 to around 2,000. Now, if that is the case, do this calculation with me. There was a 300 naira increase, which is fuel was 700, now is 1,000. So if for every fare that I used to take in the past, I just add an extra 300 to it, to just kind of like tie things together in that, yeah, there's an increase here, so maybe I should also increase it for every fare. That means when you say it like that, you realize that the jump is not that crazy, as opposed to when it jumped from 196 or 198 up to 600. That was a crazy jump. But right now we're talking about a jump of around 200 and something, approximately 300. If you have to apply that to every trip that you take, you realize that Uber's 13% increment is actually much more than 300 per trips. I stand to be corrected. Maybe my calculations are off, okay? But I know for a fact that by the time I drove for pretty much the same distance like I would in the past, I realized that, no, I was actually making a little bit more than I thought I would be making right now. That aside, the other thing that became an issue, obviously you have opportunistic people. You have people that will complain for everything. Things are good, they complain. Things are bad, they complain. Things are worse, they complain. Things are manageable, they complain, they complain, they complain. So you don't even know when to take them seriously. On Sunday, I think at least 2 of my customers had complained to me that, not complained to me, there's no complaining to me. It's just, they were just narrating to me their experience wherein they booked a boat and then the guy picks up the call and is like, how much will you pay me? That's a very stupid thing. Please don't do that. That's so, you are acting like, I don't mean to throw shades here, but I think the most similitude I can think of right now is the Nigerian police. The people who stand on the road and it's like, at all, find me something. That's exactly what you're doing. And that's just stupid. I'm telling you right now, with full confidence, in my experience, after every increment that has been made, there is still a bulk of profit to be made. Somebody now may want to talk to me about, and what about the prices of things in the market? I have this answer for you, just in case you ask, but nobody has asked yet. Let me tell you this. The vehicle used in the transportation of your food items, in fact, goods in general, are not run by fuel. The big lorries and tankers you see on the road, they use diesel. Diesel didn't change. The price of diesel did not change. I guess this explains a lot as to why you're not seeing that things are jumping almost immediately as the prices of fuel has also increased. Because they actually use diesel, not fuel. Diesel is still where it is. The problem now would be in the local transport system. For instance, the truck that may distribute pure water or your table water, you know, those little trucks that use fuel. They may have to add a little bit of something because somehow they have to make up for the increase in the fuel price. Okay? But the general price of things are not necessarily going to go up. I find myself talking as though I'm in support of this government. This government is fucking useless. I'm sorry for cursing. This government is very useless. But the reality is this. Instead of complaining, okay? Maybe count your blessings sometimes. I'm really exhausted with seeing a lot of people just complain. In fact, I even saw I'm losing the word right here. But it was like a publication on the news where they said some organization of some ride-sharing drivers or some guys, I don't know, have decided that for every trip, the kilometers per kilometer, they're going to take 450 naira. That what Uber is taking at the moment is 150 naira, but they are going to make theirs 450 naira. So whenever they go on the app, they actually accept the trip, then renegotiate the terms with the customer. And you're not getting the point still. The customer is not the cause of your problem. The customer has nothing to do with this. The customer is booking because they saw a price that suits their budget. They're not supposed to be dumped on as people who are supposed to suffer the pain of your anger and complaint. One of the customers who shared his experience said, don't you guys complain to the companies, because if the company fixed the price, I don't think anybody would be arguing, right? If I see the price, if I can pay, I'm going to book you. If I can't pay, I guess not. But then the way we've made it is like it's the customer's fault, and now they get all the heat. You keep complaining, oh yeah, the ride-sharing gig is dead, the ride-sharing this, like we should all quit. Why haven't you already? Why haven't you just moved on? Like, sell the vehicle, move on, get a job at the office, do a business, just move on. There's no sense in complaining too much. Once you find that the whole system doesn't work for you anymore, just move. Nobody cares, man. Nobody truly cares, right? So, in the light of this, what I'm telling you is that the business is still profitable. As a matter of fact, last 2 years, I had made a video. Around the last 2 years, fuel was still selling for around 100 and something. So if I were to come home with a bulk amount in my hand for a good day, I'd probably be coming home with like 30 something or 30. As this is my take home. I still remember one of my highest profit was around 16,000, 17,000, and then sometimes it was 20, 21,000. This was a very good day, like the highest. And then Fast forward to like last year, after the subsidy removal program or whatever policy, then realized it was possible in a day. As a matter of fact, this particular year, I've had, I think it was last month or last 2, maybe 3 months, during the Muslim celebration, the Eid, it could be Mubarak or the other one. I had the day where I came home with 80,000, right? And then, right now, with this new reality, there is a possibility, and things could go so well. People are yet to adjust to the price, and that's why it's still very slow. People are yet to adjust. But as soon as people get comfortable and adjust to the new pricing or the new fare system, things are going to change to such an extent that you could become, your own take home on a daily basis could be 70. Another person would go 80, right? I'm not saying this in ignorance. Obviously, inflation has its, counter effects, right? Because in as much as you're making more, you're also spending more on goods and services, right? What I'm just trying to tell you is that the app is basically still profitable. They take into account all of these things and then they apply it, okay? The moment it stops being profitable, like I can boldly tell you that InDrive at the moment is not very profitable. You have to do your own calculation whenever people are booking. Make sure you get the most out of it. Make sure you get the most out of it. Sometimes even the highest fare on the InDrive app is not good enough. Because if you had booked on Bolt or Uber, they would have paid you more for that distance. All right? So, yeah, that's the gist. Okay, please don't be one of those drivers that renegotiates terms. If you're okay with it, you're okay with it. If you want to negotiate terms, go on InDrive, right? Negotiate over there. You have a lot of leeway for negotiations, right? And then business is still good. Business is good. Just commit to it, complain less. You don't like the job, move on. It's still very great. Just whatever the hell it is you find yourself doing, you make sure you're winning. Okay? Just make sure you're winning. Make sure you're not complaining. You only live once, man. There's no point in trying to think somebody owes you something. Take what you can. Ah, boy. Okay, let's not get philosophical. I'll see you next time, okay? Bye-bye.